Hey you guys, this is Elliot coming to you from the Wartune test server, and in patch 6.5, the biggest addition we see to the game is the Holy Sword system. So hopefully by the time that I upload this video, I've also shown you things on how to get these materials for Holy Sword. So there are 3 different types of orbs that to varying degrees can be obtained through Time Portal, Holy Sword Temple, and Speed Clearance. And so those are all different types of some multiplayer, some individual events. Time Portal is only for Knighthood players, or I suspect it is because Titan Temple is also only for Knighthood players, and they're both through Titan City in Outlands. And then Holy Sword Temple is definitely only for Knighted players, but Speed Clearance is available to everybody. But that said, in order to build up one of these Sylphs, you will need to have Knighthood, because the main material to perfect them is through Knighthood only events. That said, you also need a merge Sylph, which is going to be a big thing. That's going to be more important to have a merge Sylph now, and so they are going to make that more obtainable or more easily obtained because they're going to have a material called Fusion Spirits. I'm not totally sure how those are obtained. My guess is either through hot events or online bonuses and things like that. Little places where you can pick them up for free, and those will act like talent stones, which basically replace the value of Balins and will reduce the Balin cost of obtaining doing that merge. So if you set yourself up to make a merge Sylph and then slowly build up all those fusion spirits, hopefully you can bring down the cost, and we can already use bound Balins on merging Sylphs, so hopefully more players who play for free will be able to obtain those things, and so merge Sylphs will become a totally regular part of everybody's Wartune experience. So if I don't do this video with the same gusto that I usually do, it is only because this is actually the 3rd time that I've recorded this video, so it's a little bit redundant for me. That's just with some back and forth with the publisher on how much we can show. So I think to them the preview should not show a ton of numerical information, and that those shouldn't be shown before the patches come out. I guess they feel like it will affect player enthusiasm. I think this system isn't like super bad or good. I think that it's sort of about time that they put something into the game that affects Sylph BR, because we haven't really seen anything like that in a while since the advent of merge Sylphs in red gear. That's pretty much it, and so I think this is sort of interesting, and it's putting more multiplayer dungeons into game and stuff, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that they should be shy about showing information and stuff. I think that that's relevant to players and that they should do that. It's totally normal for games to do, for player bloggers to have data dumps of all of this stuff and show everything to people. So to me, transparency is a good thing. That's sort of just my soapbox about the whole bit. But then, that said, I mean, Cosmos and I both are of the understanding that we need to play ball with them a little bit and be agreeable, because that means that we can show you stuff in advance and tell you lots of stuff about new patches and things. So that's very important as well. And so we tried to be a bit agreeable. So that said, I'm going to actually show this on a different tune, because I did like full progress on this stuff for Thor already, and I can't show it to you guys yet. That said, hopefully in the future I can show the extent of this stuff. You can actually see this fancy Sylph in my Holy Sword Temple video, so it is very high BR. It can go as high as almost 3.5 million BR once these things are maxed out. So that's pretty crazy, and so yeah, you can see those in action in some of my other videos. So over here, in order to enter the Holy Sword tab, we go to Pet Swallow, that's really the only place where I see that language, Pet Swallow. So I don't even know if that will roll out to the main servers. But yeah, so really, I think all of the stuff for the blog will be under the headline Holy Sword. That's what you need to look up to get information about this. And so we have 3 tabs here: Perfect, Holy Sword, and Inscription. From what we understand, Inscription is not going to be in patch 6.5, so only Perfect and Holy Sword are what we're going to show here. And once we find out there's a patch with Inscription in it, we'll definitely get to that. So here we have 3 different swords that we need to perfect if we want to activate them. And once we activate one, and that means full progress, 100% progress, we'll be able to equip it to one of our Sylphs. So if you activate Light and Dark, you'll be able to equip it to Loki or Odin. Wind and Water you can equip to Frey and Frigga, and of course Fire and Electro you can equip to Tyr and Thor. In order to activate these, you actually need the sophisticated version, so you're going to need Thor, Frigga, or Odin, but then once you actually activate it, you'll be able to attach it to the advanced version, so Tyr, Freya, or Loki. So basically perfect over here and then activate it in the Holy Sword system, or the Holy Sword side of things. And so in order to get 100% progress here, you do need the sophisticated version of these Sylphs, or else these will not all be available to you. So this tune has a Frigga, and so that means everything is lit up, and if I have enough orbs, I can completely perfect this. And so over here, this tune has only obtained Athena and Gaia for Light and Dark, and so only these guys are available. I think if it had a Loki seal, then that would mean that that Venus and Hera would also be available. Even though Venus and Hera are actually what's combined to get Odin, for some reason this is sort of like the path in order to get to Odin. So Loki is the second step. But yeah, so aside from the logic there, then it is a little bit iffy. The final step is Odin, and so you won't be able to get complete progress unless you have the sophisticated version. So that's shown here, and then, you know, Fire and Electro, this tune has an Ares, so that means that all 3 of these are available, but no Zeus. So you guys get the idea that these aren't going to be available unless you actually have the Sylphs themselves. So the game is going to make merge Sylphs a bit easier to obtain by reducing that Balin cost. They're not directly reducing it. They're going to be adding a material called Fusion Spirits to the game. I'm not totally sure how they're going to distribute those. My guess is something like an online bonus, possibly a hot event exchange, you know, little drops here and there that eventually, if free players are diligent and regularly play, they'll be able to obtain some, and that will replace the cost of some of that Balin merge cost. So basically they behave very similarly to talent stones, which replace some of the Balin cost for knighthood talents. So yeah, so I think that's good, and that it's really time for them to put those in. So hopefully, you know, that merge Sylphs will be a regular thing for all players, free or low cash as well, and they'll be able to get involved in this as well. That said, even if you don't have a merge Sylph, you're still going to be getting some stuff out of this Holy Sword system, because you'll have some sort of Sylph, and you do get attribute bonuses when you perfect this. So on the perfect page, the attribute bonus is going to your player, and then on the Holy Sword side, once you activate the sword and then animate it, the animation stats that you get and then attach it to your Sylph, that is affecting your Sylph BR. So over here we're getting some attribute bonuses. It's not anything too crazy, but it's also a really solid BR. Basically I'm going to go over here, and we need to activate all of these. I'm not going to be able to do that on this tune, but just show you a little bit. Here it says physical attack. If I were on my mage on the test server, it would be magical attack. So they don't do just the thing where it's like both stats and you just upgrade that way. So we have some physical attack. It's only 15 soul orbs, so the early levels are really pretty easy. And so if we just go through here, this you can obtain within probably even like a day of playing this game, or playing this patch. And so yeah, there we go. And then we can go into Triton. This one's 30. I don't think well, actually, how many is this one? Oh, 60. It's probably not. But yeah, so basically, oh, we are able to manage it. So basically it goes attack, then HP, defense, HP, defense, HP. And so those attribute bonuses are quite nice, and they will add up over here. You know, this one isn't active, but yeah, so in total we get some nice stats, and then you basically need to do that for this side, and then Freya and Frigga. Obviously, I'm doing this for Frigga on this toon because it actually has a Frigga. When you're thinking about this, you want to think about either which merge sylphs you have. So if you only have one, then obviously you're going to want to perfect for that particular element. And then for players who have all of the merge sylphs like myself on the main server, you're going to want to think about which one you want to PvP with the most. You know, for sure, that's the key. For me, I'm probably going to do Frigga just because I like using her in PvP. But that said, as far as which sylphs are actually the best in Time Portal and in other stuff, I'd probably say that Odin is the best bet. Tyr and Thor, I think Tyr and Thor are very good in Holy Sword Temple, but not so great in Time Portal, at least until your Sylph is super OP. Like, if it's super OP, then it's going to be everything anyway, but, like, if you're sitting around 500 to 600k BR Sylphs, it's not that great in Time Portal just because they can't heal themselves, and there's really no good fix for that in that event. So yeah, that's just how it goes, and so if I'm going to be picking one, I would say Frigga or Odin. Odin is really pretty badass in some of this. That said, I still probably will prefer Frigga in PvP. But yeah, so once we perfect one of these, we'll go over to Holy Sword. This will become available. We can attach it to one of our Freya or Friggas in this case, and then we'll be able to animate it. And so once you animate it, you'll be able to get these stats over here. So it'll be like 500 attack, 500 PDef, NDef, and then some HP. I forgot the amount. Maybe like 1,000, and then wind resistance, you know, 60 to 100. For each of these at the earlier levels. So you'll use some polishing orbs and you'll animate each of these, and once you animate them, these stats will become permanent parts of this weapon, and then whichever sylph that you attach this weapon to will gain all of those stats. So it's like a really OP piece of equipment that you're adding, and it also adds a skill that is available as you awaken yourself. So I will show this on the other toon. I'll show the gameplay, but basically for Freya and Frigga, right as you awaken, so as you awaken, you know, you click spacebar, you click awaken, and as you awaken, it will remove one negative buff from all your teammates and generate a shield that can absorb damage up to 30% of max character HP, which lasts 2 turns. This will get better as you level this up, but at least at the beginning, this is how it starts out. And getting these early levels with the polishing orbs is not bad at all. You're definitely going to get some easy Sylph BR once you activate one of these. But the later levels will get much more expensive, as usual. That's totally normal for the game, and I don't think people should get discouraged by that. I don't know what the game is thinking, or the publishers are thinking that that's going to deter players. That's totally normal, like, par for the course with Wartune. I think anybody who's playing this game at this point knows all of this stuff. But anyway, off my soapbox. For Light and Dark, this is after awakening, instantly restores 30% of HP and removes one positive buff from all enemies. So I think this is actually better than the Wind and Water one. So even though I think the Wind and Water is a better choice as far as PvP skills go, I think that as far as these actual skills, this might be a little bit more helpful. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe in the future, but I'll be off, but I think removing positive buffs from your enemy is a pretty big deal. So that will be the same case. The stats that you gain are the same from these, except for which resistances are involved. So it'd be whichever elements are, you know, attached to this sword. And so yeah, that's the Light and Dark one. And then for Fire and Electro, of course, it's a damage increase, which should be expected. So after awakening, you increase the damage by 40% for 2 turns. I think that's only your player. I'm not sure that affects your entire party. And then causes the entire enemy group to lose HP equal to 30% skill damage. So that's pretty nasty. You know, it's a pretty big bleed. So actually, of the skills, I like Fire and Electro the most. But as Sylphs, as you know, in the rest of their use in the game, I think that Fire and Electro is still the worst Sylph. So even though I have an enormous enormous Thor on the test server, that isn't necessarily what I would do on the main server. I think the test server is just a different case, and I was curious about Thor, so that's what we did. But as far as the skill goes here, yes, I think it's the best. Maybe this will make Tyr and Thor better options for PvP because they will be so ridiculously OP, but I think you're still going to run into the problem of people just getting deflected so badly that Tyr and Thor are just not usable in PvP most of the time. So we'll see. I do think that this bleed is very interesting and might be really nasty, but I'm not totally sure. So at least that's as much as I can really show in this system. So this is the extent of how much I can perfect it. But if we go back to my own tune, so if we go over here, so this is what it looks like with full progress. But I'm not going to show you the Holy Swords, just in case the publisher gets annoyed with this. But I can show you guys that eventually. Just look out. Look at the other videos, you'll see how OP these Sylphs are. But I'll show you the gameplay. Actually, I'll use Odin. I think that's it's a little bit more illustrative than Thor. So yeah, well, this doesn't really matter. Let's see here. Alright, so I'm gonna go into Road to Glory. Alright, first fight I did trying to show this to you guys. I had my Titan set up the wrong way. Actually, I'll remove this too. So I just want to awaken and show you guys what it looks like when you activate the Holy Sword. So if I go ahead and rune here, then I'm gonna get full awakening points. And just watch, you're gonna see a little heal here as I awaken. Come on. Alright, so there's the heal. And now over here we see a sword blinking, and that's the Holy Sword, just showing that that's been activated. There's not much else to it. It will go away eventually. Yeah, so I mean that's the gameplay. There's not too much to it other than, you know, it will work every single time you awaken, so I can actually try and show you guys that it works every single time. So it's not just going to be the first time that you awaken. I can go into Sylph mode here. Hopefully it'll be agreeable. So there's the heal and the sword, and then I'm just gonna Q and get out of Sylph mode. And then I can use Lightbringer. Oh, I might have just made myself auto attack. Oh, no, we're good. Alright, so I'm gonna awaken again. Alright, so we saw the heal again, and the sword again. So this is repeatable throughout fights. You know, there might be some strategical purpose, especially if you have something like Tyr or Thor with that big bleed, you might want to use that again. Obviously, there are plenty of situations where you're just going to want to get into Sylph mode, regardless of those Holy Sword skills, get into Sylph mode again. But those are, you know, some strategical things that are going to be added to the game because of Holy Sword. But otherwise, that's about all I have to show you. Obviously, I would like to show you some of the, you know, values and the extent of how much we can, you know, how far we can take Holy Sword and stuff like that. But I think it will have to wait until the full rollout of the patch. So that's something that we're limited to. So anyway, for now, this is the Holy Sword system. I do think it's going to be at least interesting and a pretty good source of some player BR and definitely a huge source of Sylph BR. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, you guys. Take care and have a very good day.